It's not too common, but we can use bicycles.
That's true. And I've seen people using bicycles. Yeah, I would say that it's also one. Ivan, go ahead.
Bus,
The bus, right? Yeah, we have many, many of those. David Navarrete,
Ubers,
what was that again?
Ubers.
That's true, yes. Uber and then the ruta also. All right. So maybe the most predominant type of transportation could be Uber, could be a bus, bicycle, and a car, right? A lot of people have a car. So maybe that those would be the main ones. Do you use any and how often? Think about the times that you use transportation. Which one of these do you use the most and how often do you use it? So, which one do you use, guys? Do you use a bus, a car, um, an Uber? Aaron?
I always use the public bus, and sometimes I have to use the Uber app.
Okay, excellent. So, yeah, maybe for our jobs or even to school, sometimes we tend to use the same kind of transportation over and over. I have only used Uber like one, two times, and the bus for school trips. Yeah, that's Uber. Yeah, I mean, that could be like for an emergency or something. But yes, excellent. Now, with all this being said, what do you think we will be discussing today? What's going to be our main topic? Jonathan. All right. Someone saw the book. Okay. So, yeah, basically, we're going to be taking a look on what types of transportation and how to get from one place to the other. So that's going to be today's topic. We will start with this small audio. Those of you, if you have your books, please close them. I want for you to just listen to the audio. Don't be cheaters. So we're going to listen to the audio, and here there are two questions in which we are going to be focusing on. The first question is, where is Aida going and how is she going to get there? So, where is she going and how is she going to get there? This is a conversation between two coworkers in different offices. So, they're going to be sharing, like, that maybe she's traveling to another place and the way she's going to get there. So, let's go ahead and listen to the audio and then discuss the answers.
Lesson 3.2, page 24. Exercises 1A and 1B.
So I've already booked my flight for the meeting in the New York office. I have the schedule right here. Departure from Mexico City, 1:55 p.m. Arrival at JFK, 7:50 p.m.
You're all set to go.
Well, I haven't figured out my route from the airport terminal to the hotel yet. I found some maps of train and subway lines and buses, but they look complicated, like spaghetti.
Oh, you shouldn't look at those maps. You should ask a New Yorker.
Okay, Mr. New Yorker, which subway line should I take? Or should I take a bus?
Well, you could get the air train from the airport to the subway. You'll have to change lines on the subway and then walk from the subway station to the hotel.
I don't know. My suitcase is pretty big.
Then I wouldn't take the subway. I'd get a taxi. The company will pay for the fare.
Okay, then no spaghetti. Or at least not until I get to the hotel restaurant.
All right. So, first question, where is Aida going? From where to where is she going? To New York, right? Yes. And how is she going to get there? By what? Aaron?
By subway?
Well, more specific to New York. So yes, they do mention a subway, but before that, how is she going to get, first of all, where is she coming from? Okay, Omar, so yeah, by plane. And where is she coming from? So she will arrive to New York, but where is she coming from? From Mexico, right? Yes. Okay. So she's going to New York and she's going to get there by plane. She's going to fly. Now here is the script. It's between Dean and Aida. And now we're not going to listen to it again, but now we're going to be answering another part of this story. So at some point, Dean actually suggests Aida something, right? So how does Dean first suggest that Aida get from the airport to the hotel? What is the very, very first thing that Dean tells her in order to get from the airport to to the hotel? And then why does she decide not to do it? Or why does she think it's not a good idea? If you need to read it, go ahead and do it. Here we have the script, or I don't know if you can see it actually. But here's the script, and then what is the first suggestion that Dean has for Aida to get from the airport to the hotel? What is the very, very first suggestion? Okay, and then maybe to ask the New Yorker, but what are the options that he gives? To get by what? What type of transportation? Okay, so in this case, it's suggesting subway, right? Here it says, well, you could get the air train from the airport to the subway. So air train and then the subway. And then she will get to the subway station. Now, why does she think it's not a good idea? Why does she think that this would not be a good idea?
because her suitcase is pretty big.
Yes. And then on the chat, yeah. So basically, her suitcase is very big. So she thinks it would not be a good idea. Imagine having to go through the subway and all that with a big case. I think it's definitely not a good idea. So, I think we can move on. Now, on the actual conversation, they did use different vocabulary for public transportation, which we're going to be taking a look at right here on this exercise. So we have arrival, lines, book, reservation, departure, route, direct, schedule, fare, and terminal. I will give you maybe like 3 or 4 minutes. So you can match obviously these words with the text, but also if you don't know a word, you can have a chance to look it up on the dictionary, okay? So I will give 4 minutes and then we can share answers all together. So 4 minutes, please. If you don't know a word, look it up on the dictionary or even on the translation. And if it's still not clear, just ask me, okay? So 4 minutes. All right, so let's go ahead and share our answers. Number one, who wants to, and we're just gonna be needing 3 people, so that way we don't mess up with the uh, sentences and everything. So I need 3 people. Who wants to do number one? So Pablo, you will do number one. Number 2. Who would like to do it? Jonathan? Okay. And number 3. Well, in the meantime, let's start with number 1. Pablo, go for it.
The first one is I need to schedule my flight.
It will be book. Whenever it's not like literally a book, but whenever you are going to kind of order like your flight, you say book. I will book my flight. All right. So continue. So you could do the rest, Pablo. Go for it.
Okay, miss. First, I want to compare airlines so I can find the cheapest route. No, reservation, and then I can make a route.
And then I can make
A route.
okay. Well, whenever remember, or I don't know if you have been in the situation that they ask you to pay like this tarifa on the airports. So there's a charge or a fee for tarifa, and in English we call it fare. So it will be a fare, the cheapest fare. And then I can make, and that's when you make a reservation. All right? So that's about for the first one. Thank you so much, Pablo. Jonathan, go for the second one.
I'm just checking my schedule, and these are my flight details. It says my departure is from Terminal B at 8:10 a.m. and my arrival is at 12:55 p.m.
So thank you so much. I'm sorry. I think I was in mute. Thank you, Jonathan. And Alan, go for number 3.
If you go there on the subway, you need to take 2 different lines. Take the 4 and transfer to the 6 because it's not direct.
It is not an easy. I'm not able to hear you. I don't know if you, maybe I don't know if it was my internet. Maybe you can write it on the chat, or we can even help you. So the last part was root. Yes, there you go. All right. Now continue. So, any questions about the vocabulary, guys? Thumbs up if everything is okay. Okay. Excellent. Let's continue. Here is another exercise, but I think we don't need to go through it. Just a last question before proceeding. When did you last take public transportation? Did you ride the bus, took a subway, an Uber, whatever was your last public transportation, and how was your experience? So anyone that would like to give a testimony of their last experience with public transportation? Fernando.
It was like an hour ago, and it was I take an Uber to came to my house and be ready for your class.
All right, so an hour ago. Thank you so much, Fernando. Aaron, go for it.
Well, I usually use public transportation to get to go to to my next class, and I usually ride the bus. I prefer the bus. It's more cheaper. In my experience, I always get dizzy when I'm in the bus.
Really? Maybe because it moves like side to side, and yeah, maybe that can kind of make you feel dizzy. And yeah, I don't remember the last time that I took maybe Uber or taxi. But it's like for very special occasions. Only if for example, if I travel, I use taxis. Or I remember that when I was in Seoul, because I actually study in Seoul, and I remember that there was this period of time that I had to go on the bus, on the Indio bus, and oh my god, it was horrible because since I was almost the last person to get there, I had to be standing up on the bus the whole time. And it took me like, well, it takes me like an hour from my house to the campus that I had to be there standing up. So not a very great experience, but still, yeah, that's true. It is cheaper. In Indiobus, it's I mean, you don't have to pay, and it's easier to know what routes and what places you will get if you get a bus, right? So many different experiences, maybe depending of what our situations are. All right, let's continue. Now, there is something called modals of advice. These are modal verbs that are used to give advice. So the most common we have, it's would, could, and should. All of them will represent advice. However, they could be considered to different situations. So for example, in would, it's for requests, for invitations, making arrangements. I will go to the party when my shift ends. On could, it's like a suggestion, right? Like possibilities. So you could take private lesson, not saying that you have to do it, but that it can be a possibility depending on what you're searching. Then we have should, which is also to give advice. You should try to do this. Or like whenever you're giving advice to your friends, those type of advices that you don't follow yourself, but you give to your friends. I can see that a lot of us here do that, right? So, um, should, it's more like things that you suggest to other person, and all of them work for the same, which is for advice. Now there is this particular one, ought to. That one, it is also used as to give advice. However, this is a more formal one. This is more used for formal things, and then for what's right and correct. So this is more linked with maybe values or some serious situations, depending, like a job maybe, things that are more formal. It is not used that much, but still people use it for very specific situations. And maybe in Spanish, we could translate it as debería o deberías. Sorry. So ought to, it is also a modal verb of advice. It is also used, but it's for more formal situations. Okay. Now, moving on. We have other modal verbs which are must and have to. We already know that should is one, ought to, it's another one, but we also have must and have to. With these ones, I know that maybe we can think that these are more like you're telling someone to do something, or obligating someone, or demanding someone. However, depending the context, right? If you are kind of exaggerated, oh, you must try this new flavor. Obviously, you're not demanding them to try it, but you are just kind of exaggerating the situation. However, at the same time, you're making a suggestion. Even though that it's not something that you are obligating that person, it's still a suggestion. So must can be for something demanding, yes, but it can also be used for modal verb for advice. Okay, and have to has the same thing. So also, things that we have to consider, even though that these are verbs, whenever we are making a sentence, it is necessary to always include the verb of action. What do I mean with that? So this is more like an auxiliary because it's helping the sentence, but at the end, you have to add an actual verb that actually entails the action of the sentence. For example, it is not a good idea that you wear those sneakers. So here, to make it a modal verb, or a modal verb for advice, I'm sorry, we could change whatever it's highlighted to you shouldn't, right? And then this is how we use modal verbs. However, even though that is a verb, this also has to be along with the action verb on the same sentence. So you use the modal verb, then you use the main verb. In this case will be wear. So instead of saying it is not a good idea that you just change it to you shouldn't, and right there you're just giving it an advice. Any questions about this so far? Thumbs up if everything is clear. I'm gonna be using those thumbs up. Okay, now I want you to help me out maybe to convert these sentences or these situations into advices. So if we say, why don't you visit Krill? The views in there are amazing. How would you change it to make it a modal verb for advice? Using any of the advice words that we talked about. David Navarrete?
You should visit Krill. The views in there are amazing.
Excellent. You should visit. So you see, it's the modal verb and then we have the main verb. Thank you. Next one, I'm having a job interview tomorrow morning. What suggestion, what advice would you give using the modal verbs for advice? Wendy?
You should to go to sleep soon, but for you rest well or something like that.
Okay, that's a good advice. Yeah, you should go to bed early, right? Because if not, then you go to the next day with your face like, oh God, you shouldn't be like that. Okay, Wendy, yes, thank you so much. And there could be many possibilities, many types. You could even say you ought to wear a formal suit. Remember that for formal situations, we can use ought to. Okay, and then the last one. We want to speak English very well. What would you give as an advice? Ismael.
You should practice every day.
Okay, you should practice every day. I like that. Yes, that was my suggestion, but yours is also good. You should study the advanced level just because it's our class. All right, here we have more examples. Now we have examples using must and have to. So remember that even though these are more demanding, we still use them as to give advice, right? Yes, that's true, Octavio. Oh, and I see Omar, my last time was 3 years ago taking the train. Oh, you took the train. I've never been in one, now that I remember. Anyways, yes, strongly agree with you, Octavio. All right, so look at the sign. You, what? What letter should go there? Ismael. Go ahead, Ismael.
I'm sorry, miss, my internet is so bad. Look at the sign. You must not jump into that forbidden area.
Yes, you must not, right? Excellent. On the next one, Aaron?
You must keep the secret of what I told you. It's really important for me. Letter A.
Yes. Even though that it's not demanding, I mean, you have to keep the secret. Not to tell anyone. Excellent. Next one, Fernando.
Mary has to go to the dentist immediately. She's in great pain.
Excellent. So she has to go, right? Has to. Thank you. And the last one, Ivan.
They don't have to buy another phone. I just repaired the old one.
Excellent. So they don't have to, right? Um, that's a suggestion since the person already fixed the one that they had. Okay, excellent. Let's go ahead and continue. Now here, the book wants to focus only on three of them, which is should, could, and would. These are the main ones that we will find in models for advice, but we can see that there are other modal verbs that can be used also for advice. Not to limit ourselves to only three, but there are more. As you can see, should can have a negative statement, but not could. So this, I think, it will be strongly negative. So instead, they just want to substitute it maybe to that's not possible. Instead of saying No, that's you couldn't. Okay. And then here we know that there are contractions. So when we have and then the contraction, the apostrophe and the T, we know that it means should not or would not or I would. So any questions about modal verbs, guys? David?
Miss, in the case of the ID, the contraction of I will is the same in I could.
Yeah, I could. No. Or you know what? Now I'm thinking because there's other contractions that it's ID, but it's like I had, I would, I could. Mm, that's a good question. I would say no, but let me find it out because I'm not sure. Maybe it had, I had, because it's I had, I could. You know what? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I'm so sorry. So yeah, it would be I would also, and I could. So let me just confirm that information for you, and then I will tell you exactly how if it can be called. But I don't see here any example for that. So maybe it's not possible. Ah, that's a great question. Let me figure it out and I'll let you know. Let me write it for my notes. Thank you for that question, David. Then, yeah, David. Thank you for that.
Yes, Miss, it's because I'm not sure. In some texts, in subtitles of movies, I read that, but it's because the person says I could, so I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. So you've seen it. So yeah, maybe because, for example, I know that, and I'm gonna put it on the chat. I know that it can be like I had or I would, but not I'm not sure so sure about could. I'm sorry, I wrote down. So this can be the possible contractions for I and then apostrophe D, but then I have to recheck with the word could. That's an excellent question actually. Thank you for bringing that up. I will look for it. All right. Any other awesome questions, guys? Any other? No? Thumbs up if everything is fine. Okay. So let's go ahead and complete some grammar. Here we have an exercise about grammar for these models of advice. So the first one, when we want to say that something it's a bad idea, which of the two should we use? Okay, so you shouldn't. Yes. Number two, which of the two should we use for when something it's a good idea? Aaron?
You should.
Yes, thank you. Next one. When do we say that something is possible? Remember one, yes, you could. And last one, you can use to give advice. Which of the two? And we have Yvette.
You will?
Um, yes, well, it's would, but it would be more like I would, because think about those type of and thank you so much, Yvette. Think about those type of advices that you say. If I was you, I wouldn't do this or that. So whenever you want to give advice, you are kind of trying to get on the shoes of the other person and by stating yourself on the situation. So it will be in this case, I would. All right. Now let's continue. Here it's an exercise that it is about some questions and some answers here. I will give you 2 minutes so you can match the questions with the answers, and then we will share whatever we have all together, okay? So 2 minutes for this, and then we will move on. Okay, let's share some answers. So, number one, please read the whole question and the answer. Fernando.
Should I meet you at the airport? Yes, let's meet in the parking lot.
Thank you. Jonathan, two.
How do I get to the library from here? You could take the subway to Oak Street.
Excellent. Ismael, number three.
Do you know when the bus leaves? No, I checked the schedule online.
Thank you. And Aaron, number four.
Will you take a train to Chicago? No, no, I won't. It takes too long. I'll, I'll fly.
Excellent. And last one, number five. Yvette.
What is the best time to take the ferry? The answer is you should go take in the morning.
Excellent. So you should go in the morning. All right. Thank you. So let's go to the next activity. Now, for this activity, I will need for you to read a small reading about the strangest laws from around the world. Let's see what creepy or what weird laws do they have. So this reading, it's only for reading purposes, guys. It will be interesting to find out if whether they are true or false laws. So what I will do is I will be sharing you a document here on on the chat. Then you are going to be reading first of all, and then obviously review, try to kind of comprehend what you're reading. And then you will identify the model verbs for advice on that particular PDF. It's only 1 page long. It's not that much. So please read it, identify the model verbs for advice, and then you're gonna either write them down on your notebook or you can do it on a Word document, and you're gonna put them on the chat. Okay, so you're gonna share them on the chat once you are done. And then I will open an assignment for a questionnaire about this same reading, in which you will be responding to the questions, whether true or false. And this is only to practice a little bit on this reading side, because remember, we are almost there for our first evaluation. So I think it will be a very great practice to read and try to see if we are comprehending whatever we're reading, okay? So 2 parts. First part, you will read it. You will identify the sentences with modal verbs and share them on the chat. Also, not to forget, if you see a word that you don't know, also write it down. Write it down and maybe keep it for yourself so you can look up it in the dictionary, or even you can share it on the chat if you find the translation. So whatever works best to you. What I want more, it's just the modal verbs for advice sentences. But if you want to go forward, you can also look up the unknown words for you, so you can be able to internalize them. Okay, so I'm sharing now the PDF. It is now there on the chat. And let's go ahead and start working. In the meantime, I will open the questionnaire so you can, after you're done with this, you can start with the PDF. Okay? So questions about what we're doing? No questions? All good? Okay, I will give 20 minutes. 20 minutes for this activity. So let's complete the first part and I will open the questionnaire for that second part, okay? So go ahead. I will stop sharing the presentation so I can open the questionnaire, but then I will put it back again. Give me just a few moments. So there you go. Now it's available for you guys. So go ahead and complete this two parts and then you have 20 minutes for this. All right. I see that people are sharing already the documents. Thank you so much. I see that you are even adding the words that were not familiar for you, and that's even better because I think that can be a way also of acquiring more vocabulary. Don't forget to also do the questionnaire. It is out. Awesome. So I think with that we should stop today's class. I will give that reward for your hard work, guys. Thank you so much for being very, very attentive to all the activities. And if you are done, you can just go ahead and leave the class. That'll be all for today. So if you're done with the questionnaire and the sentences, you are free to go, guys.
Thank you, Miss. See you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, you too. See you and have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.
Thank you, teacher. See you next Monday.
See you next
See you.
Monday. Bye-bye. See you. Take care,
See
guys.
you, miss.
See you. Have a good one. Have a good day. Thank you. So don't forget to answer the questionnaire.
Bye.
Thank you, teacher. See you later.
See you later. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. And no, I won't. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, guys. Don't forget to do the questionnaire. And I think that's about it.
You sure?
Yes.
Uh, can I leave the call?